I believe that my purpose, and not just believe, I know for sure that my purpose is to heal. I am a healer, and I use various holistic health practices to heal not only myself but others as well. That's who I am, and that's what I contribute, and that's what I'll be bringing, and I'll bring more of it. Peace and light, family. So as you know, I quit my job, packed up everything I owned, put it in storage, and decided to solo travel around the world. My first stop was Bali, Indonesia. I spent a month and a half in Bali, really just exploring the land, getting to know the culture, getting a deeper understanding of the Hindu religion, but most importantly, exploring my spirit and understanding the deeper meaning of life through my own soul. I learned so much while in Bali, and a typical day there would look like waking up at the ashram, eating a beautiful hearty breakfast that the ashram would provide, going to pray and meditate at the temples, and then traveling around Bali to understand what was it that Bali had to offer. One of the most surprising discoveries that I made was that Balinese people aren't too different from American people. The same way the typical American teenager likes to hang out at the mall after school or go get something to eat with their friends, Balinese teenagers do the same thing, except it's not the mall that they hang out at, it's the market, you guys. The market is the place to be in Bali, and I went from market to market to discover which was the best one, and I found that the Jujugang market in Ubud, Bali is the place to be. See, the thing about Bali is that most people still survive off of bargaining and trading. A lot of people still live in very rural areas in Bali, and farming is a typical way to earn money as well as a way to feed your family and your village. Once again, most people in Bali still live on compounds, so they still have a very family-oriented nature. Most people have their own rice paddies. If you're pretty well or pretty decent, mostly middle-class people and up have their own rice paddies, but everyone has some sort of garden or farm where they can grow their own fruits and vegetables. It isn't uncommon for a typical farmer to pick or harvest their fruits and vegetables and take them to the local market to sell them. Therefore, the market is the place to be. Oftentimes, the farmers would cross trade. For example, if I know that I'm good at selling dragon fruit, or I'm good at growing dragon fruit or rambutan, I may trade my dragon fruit and rambutan with your mangoes and your bananas. On my stand, we would all sell the same thing, and whoever the customer chooses is who the customer chooses. Competition is not a big deal there. However, there are some people who have their own unique trade. Like this man here, he happens to sell chickens. Chickens are used in Bali for sacrifices, and he sells his chickens to be sacrificed. It's alive. And you will use it in the ceremony. So they will sacrifice? No. Yeah. In the market, there is no set price for anything. Everyone is open into bargaining and trading. There was many times that I was able to trade my earrings or a piece of jewelry or a piece of clothes that I bought from America for fruits, vegetables, and many things to survive on for the week. I was truly grateful for that. One of the most beautiful things that I noticed about the market is that everyone is open to allowing you to sample something, like this woman who specialized in making a beautiful Balinese rice cake, which is a typical dessert there. She immediately broke off a piece of one of her rice cakes for me to try, with the hopes that I would be willing to bargain with her. That is my favorite thing about Bali. I never felt like anyone was trying to take advantage or get over on me. I always felt like I was getting a fair price. I never felt like I was being cheated. I never felt like anyone was just looking at me as a rich American. Everyone was looking to build a reciprocitous relationship where I would give them something, they would give me something, and most importantly, they wanted to build a relationship with understanding. I truly learned a lot about the Balinese culture by visiting the market. I was able to try the different fruits and vegetables because everyone wanted me to have a true Bali experience. They would come to me with pieces of durian, which, if you don't know what durian is, it's a pretty funky fruit that you can smell a mile away, but it has a very sweet and kind of sour flavor. It's like a cross between watermelon and pineapple almost to me. It's pretty good, very pungent, but pretty good. I cannot tell you how many people will walk up to me with pieces of durian because they know it's not a typical American fruit, but they just wanted me to try it so I could have a true Bali experience. They would come to me with flower offerings for me to put on the altar. They would come to me with different sauces for me to try. They would want me to come to their stand so I can watch them cook and see how they make their Balinese omelets and dishes. I was honored to have this experience of traveling through the market and truly getting a taste of the Bali culture, literally. And one of the most beautiful experiences was just as fascinated as I was with the Balinese culture, they too were fascinated with me. It wasn't unusual for me to turn my head and I see someone pull out a phone and they're recording me just as much as I'm recording them. They would always ask me questions and want to know where I'm from and what I do. Everyone from the elders to the youth would run up to my camera to take pictures, or they would run up to me to take pictures with them. And I would just sometimes sit in the market and just hang out with people and really, really get to know who they were and what a typical day in a Bali life was like. So it wasn't unusual for me to go and help someone out at their farm, carry a basket back to the market with them, and sell some goods. I even learned how to bargain the Balinese way. And everything was worth bargaining for. Everything from ground nuts to meal to fruits to vegetables. Everything had value in Bali. No one was worthless. Nothing was worthless. And that is why it was very rare for me to see someone who was on the streets begging and had nothing. It was very rare for me to see a homeless or poor person because everyone there believes in karma. Be mindful that the dominant religion in Bali is Hinduism, so the belief in karma is universal there in Bali. Everyone would be putting out offerings like these flower baskets. The streets would be lined with them. But the thing was, they wouldn't be giving to people with the hopes that that person would give to them in return. They give to people, they give to the gods, to the goddesses, with the hopes that the universe will bless them in return. And that is a big lesson that I learned in Bali. From the elders to the youth, everyone was a giver. Therefore, everyone saw themselves as blessed. And blessed they were. There was a peaceful joy and beauty in being at the market. The colors were just a mere reflection of the peace, the joy, and the blessings that I found there. But that wasn't the only place where I found peace. One of my favorite places to travel to on a regular basis was the local herb garden. The Luwak coffee plantation is where most of the herbs are grown in Bali. From moringa to turmeric to fresh ginger, a lot of the herbs are grown there at the plantation. Another thing that they do is they harvest honey, and anyone from the community can go and they can travel to the plantation to get their honey and their herbs if they're not able to grow them on their own gardens. They also bargain at the plantation. For example, a farmer could bring their fresh fruit and they could bargain for herbs as well as coffee.
And the ginger for warmth of body.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the coriander for cooking. White pepper and black pepper.
Okay.
Cinnamon. Cinnamon we use for the aroma of the food, cake and tea also.
Okay.
If you drink tea or coffee, you can still use the cinnamon stick
To stir it.
Yeah. This is the nutmeg, clove and star anise.
Okay. I'm really interested in this turmeric.
You can smell. You can.
Fresh turmeric.
Yeah.
Feels very like rough almost, but soft. So the Luwak coffee plantation is not only known for herbs, it is most known for, you guessed it, coffee. The Luwak coffee is the most expensive coffee in the world. It's known for its very unique, rich, robust flavor, but what makes it even more unique is the way that it's harvested. These Balinese mongoose eat coffee beans, and what they do is they poop it out. Now, it is said that there is an enzyme in the digestive system of the mongoose that gives the coffee its unique richness. So that's what makes the coffee so expensive. The clumps of poop, as you can see in the cage, contain coffee beans. What they do is they wash the poop out and they separate the coffee beans from the poop. That is the separated coffee bean. They put the coffee bean through a roasting process, which you can see here in this pan, and it basically skins the beans. So then you have a pure coffee bean. Once it is roasted the first time and is separated from the skin, they either grind the coffee down or they put it through a second roasting process, and you can have the whole bean. You see the whole bean here. Yes, I did sample the coffee, and it is as good as they say. It comes in many different flavors, from vanilla to chocolate to ginseng to lemon to ginger, all kinds of flavors, and it is very expensive. You can watch my video on my channel dedicated to the entire coffee experience, where you can see the step-by-step process. But visiting the Luwak coffee plantation was one of the highlights of my trip to Bali. And on to the next adventure we would go. Day after day, I would travel around Bali, going from place to place, understanding the culture, understanding how they lived, understanding the land, the agriculture, the bargaining, the trading, the food, the religion, so on and so forth. As I traveled, my goal was once again to dig deeper into new cultures and deeper into my soul. One of the best soul connections I was able to make was with a sandalwood harvester. So I met a man who would harvest sandalwood. He would get it imported from all over the world, as well as try to harvest his own right there in Bali. Sandalwood is a very unique wood that is known for its very robust and peaceful scent. It has a lot of value in the spiritual community. People see sandalwood as a scent that brings peace, serenity, and joy to the mind, body, and soul. I was blessed to actually touch the pure sandalwood, as you see here in the video. It's beautiful, it's smooth, and it smells amazing. They make a lot of carvings out of it. It is very, very expensive, very, very difficult to get. So it is cherished in Bali. If someone has a piece of sandalwood or a carving made from sandalwood, they are seen as a very affluent and blessed person. Sandalwood is said to be a gift from the gods. It is believed that the gods put sandalwood on the earth in order to bring a natural peace to the environment and to restore the world. Now, I wasn't able to purchase any of the sandalwood carvings because once again, they were very expensive. For example, this small piece that she is about to pull out of this bucket was about $350 for this small statue. Yes, very expensive, but I would say well worth it. If I was balling like that, honestly, I would have bought it because the scent alone is just so soothing. So I definitely see why it was cherished. Very similar to New York, it wasn't unusual to see various vendors alongside of the road in Bali. Everyone selling clothes, jewelry, also fruits, vegetables, and many other things. One of my favorite vendors to stop for was the roti man. Now, roti is a common term for bread in a lot of cultures, but honestly, I was pretty shocked to get to see what Balinese roti actually was. It is a whole loaf of bread that you can get whatever toppings that you want in it. They slice it in four and they fill each layer with a different topping. You can get sweet, you can get savory, or a combination of both. So seeing someone with strawberry jam, peanut, and cheese roti is not unusual, and actually one of the best combinations in Bali, according to Balinese people. However, I settled for the typical peanuts and chocolate. I didn't want to go too crazy my first time. What I was most surprised about was exactly how unhealthy this roti was. Oh my gosh. It was so delicious, but filled with peanuts, chocolate, condensed milk, and lots and lots and lots of butter. It seemed like the butter was endless. He would put it on the grill, flip it, turn it, and add more butter. Condensed milk was in between each layer, smothered with peanuts, chocolates, and so much more. So this is the final product of the roti. And let me show y'all the middle. Look at that. Now I already had one piece and it tastes just as good as it look, okay? Chocolate, peanuts, butter, condensed milk, aka a sin to consume. Thank you, God. Look at that. The delicious roti was only one of the benefits that the Balinese streets had to offer. It wasn't unusual for us to be riding down the street and we just so happened to run into one of the many Balinese ceremonies that would be happening. Once again, Hinduism is the predominant religion in Bali, and there was constantly some sort of celebration, some sort of ceremony, somebody always worshiping something or someone always getting married, a birth ceremony. Something was always happening where we would be seeing women, men, children dressed in traditional garb, baskets, offerings, flowers, food on top of their head, and they would be walking toward the local temple to celebrate. One of my favorite road trips was the trip to Ubud Town Center. Ubud Town Center is the hot spot for tourists. This is where most of Julia Roberts' Eat, Pray, Love was filmed. There I would find all of the good vegan restaurants where I could have a smoked apple martini or sometimes these barbecue pulled jackfruit steam buns. The most important thing is that I would get time to spend with other tourists. I would meet people from all over the world, and sometimes we would just hang out at restaurants. We would talk and get to know each other. The beautiful thing about being a solo traveler traveler is that you are on your own time. So I could meet a stranger and I could sit in the restaurant and talk to them for an hour or two, or sometimes we would go out and we would dance all night and party. Late night rides back to the ashram was always a joy. To see Ubud town center lit up at night, tourists finding their way back to the hotel, motorists getting back home to their local rural areas where they could enjoy. I would always love to ride through Ubud town center at night. It had a loud peace to it, almost as though Bali itself had its own version of New York City Times Square. It was the life. Honestly, I found most of my joy and peace being right there at the ashram. When I would come home, I would light my herbs, burn my sage, my Palo Santo, and I would just chill and hang out. When I would rise in the morning, I would go straight out to the eatery or sit by the pool, look out at the rice paddies, drink some coconut water, and just enjoy the peace and serenity that Bali had to offer. This constant view constantly reminded me of the things that I needed to be grateful for: the food, the rice patties, the fresh air, the great turmeric lattes, the cinnamon, the different herbs. Also, just having the opportunity to enjoy a beautiful, sweet, savory culture like the Balinese culture, understanding more in depth the Hindu religion, understanding the value of giving and receiving reciprocitously. I am so grateful for this man, Guru Katut Asanan, who is the owner of Om Ham Retreat Resort. He taught me so much. He is an example of a phenomenal man with focus, discipline, and most importantly, flexibility. That's free yoga.
It open slowly a little bit. Deep.
Oh my gosh, Guru.
It feels so good here.
It looks like it feels good. Such a young man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Guru.
Feel old.
Wow.
Superman.
Superman. Guru. Forever young. In his mid-70s, the Guru was able to do things that I had not even thought of doing in my late 20s. His mind, body, and most importantly, his spirit was so strong and full of knowledge and wisdom. He had spent many years as a young monk in monasteries from India to Bali, studying and practicing, devoting most of his life to preparing for this time where he would be a guru, a teacher to many. I sat at the feet of the Guru and learned, but not just myself. Many people came from all over to study with the Guru, from elders to the youth. They would sit at his feet and they would learn. We would do yoga, we would meditate, and we would study. This young woman, her name was Ilu. She had been studying with the Guru for years, and she also was my young teacher and mentor while I was in Bali. She took me to the holy springs to say my final farewell to Bali, where I would be cleansed of all negative energy, all negative karma, and just like this beautiful tree of life, I would be refreshed, filled with longevity, wealth, prosperity, and a long, peaceful life. The Holy Springs changed my life forever. I felt so renewed, so refreshed, a new woman, deeper, better when I left the Holy Springs. Arriving at ashram and choosing to stay there was the best decision that I had made thus far in my travel experience. I know for sure that my experience in Bali would not have been what it was if it had not been for I am grateful for I am grateful for the Guru. I am grateful for Ilu. I am grateful for that experience overall. There were many days where I would just walk through the gardens of the ashram, as you see here, and I would just spend time meditating and contemplating, speaking to the universe, looking for signs and omens in the trees, in the fruits, in the ants, in the garden in general, and just really seeing what it was that Ham had to offer me, that Bali had to offer me, that this universe had to offer me. I learned so much about myself in Bali. I learned patience. I learned understanding. I learned a deeper meaning in life. I learned true reciprocity. But most importantly, I learned how to enjoy really, truly being alone. I was thousands of miles away from my family, everything I knew, my livelihood. But I realized that my livelihood didn't have a location. My livelihood was within me. I didn't need anything or anyone to feel whole. I was enough. I am enough. And traveling Bali solo really reinforced that for me. So if you have the opportunity to do it, just go. Go alone. It's okay. You are well. You will be well. The answer is in the universe. It's in the trees. It's in the garden. But most importantly, it's in you. You have everything you need to succeed. Everything you ever wanted, everything you ever desired, everything you ever thought possible is right there, right here. Anywhere you are is where God is. You got this. Just go. Travel out to Bali. Go to ashram. Ask for Ilu. She may take you out to the garden to pick some mangosteen off the trees for offering. She's a pretty shy girl, but she'll teach you everything she knows about praying, about meditating, about Hindu religion. She'll teach you about offerings. She'll teach you about the definition of love and light through the Hindu culture and religion. She will sit with you. She'll teach you about everything she learned from the Guru when it comes to yoga and meditation. I studied there, I learned, and I left better.
Sesto.